guys. Welcome to Kosi Talks Live. For those of you joining me for the first time, welcome. My name is Kosi Belloso. I'm a physical therapist here in Tampa, Florida, and I've been a PT now for a little over 23 years, and my passion is working with the limb loss community. And with me tonight, I have a very special guest, Elisa Collinridge, on loan to me from College Park. So thank you for being with us tonight, Elisa.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
So this is not her first time on the Kosi Talk Show, but this is our first time like on separate screens. If you guys recognize this lovely face next to me, it's because she was with me at the Amputee Coalition National Conference last August when we were in Orlando. So she's joining us again this evening, and we have a lot of people to say hello to this evening. So just going to the Instagram, we got Jenna on board. We got Francis. I want you particularly to stay tuned. We got a couple of my colleagues on board as well. We got Johnny V in the house and trauma translator as well. He's been watching the show a lot lately, and I appreciate his support. And let's see, going over here from Facebook and YouTube, we got Robert here with coffee in his mug. We got Beth coming in from Connecticut, back home to New Hampshire, and she's interested in tonight's topic. Lots of information for you tonight, Beth. Let's see, Robert says he just got his hydraulic foot and wants to learn more about it. Excellent. We got Marty coming in from Waco, Texas, drinking some sugar-free Red Bull. I have never been able to drink Red Bull, man. That is just above my pay grade right there. We got Cindy, my Tar Heel girl, with drinking her Starry Zero. Robert from Georgia with his coffee. We got Tom in Maryland having his Fruit Loops and his Cozy Talks mug. I love it, Tom. See, that's why I got like the extra big mug. It's like a soup mug, coffee mug, Fruit Loops now. Apparently, we got Harsh on board from Virginia. Scott coming in with his cold water. Scott, I am watching those videos tomorrow that you sent me, but I am so proud of you. I saw you walking with your prosthesis, and I am so excited for you. So excited. Let's see. We got my other Tom on board coming on here, and we got Emily. And she's got some serious drinks here going on. She always has like the best drinks. And Emily, I have your question that you sent in through the texting service. So we're going to grill Elisa on that one a little bit later. Let's see who else we have. We got Jerry Ann. Her drink tonight is vanilla caramel macchiato. These people have some serious drinks, man. They don't mess around.
Feel boring now.
I know, right? I told you got to bring a drink on the show. Otherwise, you're going to get hazed. Let's see. We got Pastor Dave. So it's a party now. We got Susan with Marshall tuning in. We got Kim from Indiana. Yes, you do need my shirt. It is like the cool kid shirt. So we got cool kid mugs with the Kosi Talks mug, and we got the cool kid shirt. It's awesome. And then on the back, I don't know if you guys can see it, it's got all sorts of fun stuff there. So we're going to be giving away some of these shirts tonight. And then, guys, I messed up one of the giveaways tonight. Bad Kosi, but we will be making up for it next week. So you guys kind of stick around and stay tuned for that. We've got Pedro on board as well. And then Johnny V making his entrance from Poughkeepsie, New York in the Kosi Talks house. Glad to see you, man. Oh, we got a fellow Floridian, Pedro. Welcome. All right, guys. So we've got a big show tonight. So College Park, as you guys know, has been my longest standing sponsor. They've been with me the 7 years that I've been broadcasting this show. I absolutely love working with their team. And they've got lots of good stuff. They've got a huge selection of feet, which we've talked about a lot on this show. And now they have a selection of knees. But tonight's star is going to be the hydraulic foot, the Odyssey IQ. You want to kind of show them a little glimpse of the star of tonight's show? Like, guys, seriously, when I was looking up the picture, because I'll be putting up a picture of this foot, I actually thought I had the wrong picture because it was so compact and low profile. Like, the hydraulic microprocessor feet I'm used to looking at are big. And we're going to show you just how, like, this differs from other feet out on the market tonight. Hey there, Larry. We got Larry, John Roman, and John C. from San Diego. Welcome aboard. So, guys, I'm going to let Lisa kind of reintroduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself and how she became involved in the world of prosthetics. So,
yeah. My name is Elisa. I'm based out of Michigan with College Park. I got my degree in neuroscience from the University of Michigan, and I was really interested in art and working with my hands. I moved to Chicago and ended up going to Northwestern for prosthetics and orthotics. Just kind of fell in love with the mix of art and patient care, and that first moment watching someone and helping them get back on their feet was a big passion of mine. I worked in the clinical world for the past 6 years or so, and then I left at the peak of COVID, just kind of renegotiated a few things and ended up with College Park about 1.5 years ago now. So time's really flown with them. I started, and most of mine has been really focusing on clinical care and clinical education for our microprocessor product. So the Icon microprocessor knee, which we had a great show about already, and now obviously the new microprocessor foot too. So I get to do a lot of the support clinical education on these products.
Yeah, no, and then honestly, guys, if you have a chance, go back and watch that show. It was in August of 2024. If you go to my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, and we talk about microprocessor knees and specifically the Icon. And I know I've seen quite a few of them popping up in my area. It's become a very popular microprocessor knee in the Tampa Bay area. So guys, let's just kind of go over. It's been a while since we've done a show with College Park. Reggie was here last time right before the Super Bowl with his Philadelphia Eagles jersey, causing a mess on my show that night. Y'all remember that? Who remembers that show when Reggie came on with the Philadelphia Eagles jersey on? Show of hands in the comment section. But basically, College Park has been around for quite some time. It's been around since 1988. They are based out of Detroit, Michigan, so good old American made. And, you know, it really got put on the map with their True Step foot. And this foot, I think even to date, it still garners quite a bit of respect from the prosthetic industry, even though we now have hundreds of feet out on the market since then. But it was known as being probably one of the most anatomically correct feet. Like when you post a picture of the x-rays of the human foot and the True Step foot, you know, you can see definitely a resemblance there. And it is still a part of their line. You remember, Beth says, oh, they're remembering the Philadelphia Eagles shirt. Yeah. They're all remembering. Yeah, they're like, yeah, we remember. Yeah, we're still recovering from that one. So basically, over the years, College Park has expanded their line. They have so many different feet. It is certainly my go-to when I'm recommending for feet, not just because they're my sponsor, but because they have so many different options here available. And we've talked a lot about it. And they have what's called their IntelliWeave. So I'm going to let Elisa tell us a little bit what IntelliWeave means.
Yeah, so IntelliWeave is... So a lot of feet are made out of carbon fiber, and carbon fiber tends to be a very rigid material, which basically means that you have to put a lot of energy into it in order to get a response from it. And honestly, most people don't walk around with that much input into their normal walking. Really, where you see the carbon fiber kick into gear is when people are running, and that's a great use for it. But most people don't spend their days running around. So College Park has IntelliWeave, which is basically a fiberglass type of material. It's more compliant. It's going to kind of flex easier, be a little bit more stable for normal walking. It's a really great material to improve comfort and stability, basically.
All right. And we see it in a lot of the feet. It's really a wonderful option. Johnny V here is saying, College Park is so awesome for supporting the Cozy Talk show all these years, and Reggie Showers, the absolute best patient advocate. Yes, and a wealth of knowledge. We need to do our next show with the three of us together, because that would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun.
I still haven't met Reggie. I'd love to.
You haven't met Reggie?
No.
Holy cow. Yeah, we need to make that happen. Dan is saying, I'm trying to forget that Super Bowl from Kansas City. And I realize, guys, I never gave a shout out to my Instagram folks. We got Francis on board from Orlando with coconut water. And we've got lots of people here on board this evening. Francis is asking, would I be able to use a hydraulic foot? Francis, stay tuned, because we're going to talk exactly about who is a good candidate for using a hydraulic foot. Guys, you guys know I love my giveaway. So I'm going to post my first giveaway for the evening, and it will have, like, it's the College Park swag bag. It's like this crazy awesome hiking bag. Like, guys, this bag, like if you were to buy it, it costs over $100 just for the book bag alone. I call it a book bag because I'm a mom of four. And then they're going to pack it with a t-shirt in your size and all sorts of really great swag. So here's what you got to do. Here's what you got to do, guys. All right. So this one, it's on Facebook and it's also on Instagram. So my Instagram folks, you will be able to go to my Instagram account and see the reel that I did yesterday. Okay. I want you guys to click on this reel and comment foot. Okay. And what you're going to receive is not just a raffle entry into this particular giveaway, but you're also going to get my blog that explains all the different classifications of prosthetic feet. And this is kind of leading to my next point right now. When it comes to prosthetic feet, we have these wonderful marketing people that come up with these beautiful names like the Soleus and the Odyssey and, you know, the True Step and all these really great names. but unfortunately, they don't really tell us much about what the foot does. Okay. So to understand what prosthetic foot is right for you, you need to understand how the prosthetic foot works and who it's meant for and who it's perhaps not meant for. So I've done so many shows, guys. You can like basically throw a rock and hit one of the shows that I've done on the different classifications of prosthetic feet. And I classify all of them by how they work. Okay. And then I tell you who's a candidate for which foot. So when you comment foot on this particular reel, whether on Facebook or on Instagram, you're going to automatically get a message that gives you that blog with all those classifications. Okay. Capiche? And I see some of you guys clicking on that right now. So keep clicking. And we're going to kind of talk a little bit about those classifications. Okay. So I classify it into 10 different classifications. And I know that sounds like, oh my gosh, Kosi, that's not really simplifying it, but we're going to kind of just go over them briefly. And then we're going to focus on the hydraulic foot. So you have the satch foot, which I just happen to have my old faithful here, satch foot, wooden foot. I know even a couple of you still use this foot. It's a very basic foot. We have the single axis foot, which allows the foot to move up and down like this. We have a multi-axial foot, and that just gives you more movement in the ankle. Then we have dynamic response and energy storing response. So those are kind of like the pogo sticks, and that's a very general way of describing it. You put the energy into the foot, and it gives you energy when you come off the foot. Then we have the hydraulic feet, which is going to be the star of our show tonight, and we're going to talk a little more in detail about that. We have what's called a hybrid, and that's my own like classification of feet, which it combines multi-axial, it combines dynamic response, it combines a little bit of this and a little bit of that, okay? And then we have the microprocessor foot, stubbies, and oh my gosh, I just blanked out. Running blades. Haha. All right, guys. So again, comment foot on this reel. We're going to pick a winner from those people who comment foot, and then you're also going to get that list. So how many of you guys, we're going to do a quick COSI poll. How many of you guys know which classification of foot you use? I've never asked this question on the show.
I like it.
Emily says she did it earlier. I saw your name on there. Bill says, whoop, whoop. And then Harsh says, Odyssey Hydraulic IQ. Yeah. Okay. Robert says, pick me, pick me. All right. So guys, I want you to put in the comment section if you know which classification of foot you use. And if you don't know, I want you to comment, I don't know. I'm going to give you guys like a few seconds there. So Elisa was really wonderful because I gave a huge continuing education course last weekend at Brooks Rehab. Got to teach to a group of physical therapists, and I got to teach about these prosthetic classifications. So the exact same way I'm teaching you guys tonight is how I teach to the physical therapy students. And I remember Elisa sitting down with me on this presentation and helping me go through everything and make sure I got everything right. Beth says, I don't know. Shame on me. Nope, not shame on you, Beth. That's why you're here tonight. Larry says, I don't know. Scott says, I know. Kim says, I'm a K3. So Kim, K3, the K levels, that designates your level of mobility. Okay. That doesn't necessarily tell me what kind of foot you're using. Does that make sense? Bill says, I know, but I forgot. Randy says, I don't know. Wasn't consulted. Just giving a foot. Yeah, I don't like to hear that. We'll talk about that later. Harsh says, I don't know as I stopped using hydraulics due to weight. Lois says, True Step. All right, we got a True Step fan right here. Johnson's, I don't know. Okay, so guys, I want you to go and read this blog. Okay, let's talk. And basically, guys, College Park has an answer to all of these classifications. Like they have a foot that fits all of these classifications except a running blade. That's it. Everything else, and I'm really hoping someday they come out with a running blade because I think it would be amazing. But basically everything else, guys, they have a foot for each classification. So when I say there is something for everyone in College Park, there really, really is something there for everybody. Okay. So Elisa, when you were working in the clinics, how did you approach picking a foot for one of your patients?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, I think Kim said this, the K level does narrow down things for us. So we never want to give patients something more than they can handle or less than they can handle. And I think knowing what their mobility level is helps us to kind of narrow some part of that down. But the biggest answer would be to involve my patient and talk to them about their goals. So when I hear I'm struggling with this versus I want to do this, then I can narrow down what would be helpful to help them achieve those goals, to help them have more success. And then we can kind of talk about what feet apply to their goals and to what their mobility level too. And then obviously, if we can trial a foot, we always like to.
Yes, and that's absolutely key, guys. And this is something that I've become very vocal about over the past years on this show. I always say if you're going to buy a new car, you test drive the new car because you're going to be with it for a while. So my thought is if you're going to be waking up to this foot or prosthetic knee for the next 3 to 5 years, you want to test drive it out. Now, granted, if it's your first foot, a lot of folks may not be able to distinguish between one type of foot and another, and you're going to have to rely more upon your prosthetist and your physical therapist to guide you. But by the time you get to your second prosthetic foot, and hopefully you've had a chance to learn how to walk and mobilize with that foot, you will be able to appreciate a difference. And I always recommend at least trialing 2 feet, at least 2. And the way I kind of help patients is to say, okay, exactly what Elisa said. What are the functional requirements in your life? Are you someone who is at a desk job? Do you go up and down a lot of stairs and ramps? Are you chasing after little kids? Are you rough and tumble and climbing deer stands to go hunting like many of my folks here do? Are you fishing a lot? I'm in Florida a lot. What is those requirements and how can we get you a foot that will fit that? So at the end of the day, if we say, okay, you know what, you would do great with a hydraulic foot, I always recommend try a hydraulic foot from 2 different manufacturers. And I know College Park Reggie sat next to me several times and he's echoed the same sentiment. So you guys can just see and appreciate the difference between the manufacturers. Okay. Robert says personality is important. An active person needs an active foot. That's right. Absolutely. And Ben Gregory's coming into us from Texas. Howdy from Texas. So let's talk about the star of our evening. It's the hydraulic foot. And guys, it's exactly that. The movement in the foot is controlled by hydraulics. So there's some tiny little cylinder in there that's full of fluid and it's being compressed and decompressed and controlling the movement that way. Elisa, you need to keep me under control because I'm just a dumb PT trying to explain prosthetics here, right? So one of the benefits of having a hydraulic system is that it's going to absorb shock a lot better. So when the foot hits the floor, that shock absorption factor. And it also helps adapt to different terrains and different walking speeds and slopes, which for me is kind of one of my favorite features of a hydraulic foot in general. Am I on the right track?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. We've got Rhonda coming in, drinking water from Missouri. Let's see. Bill says I'm in and out of my Mini X and skid steer. So he's a little on the active side right there. Okay. So guys, why is it so important for shock absorption? For me as a physical therapist, when I hear shock absorption, I'm like, oh, good, because that was originally what the cartilage and everything in your natural ankle used to do when it was there. And what is it doing? It's protecting the joints, specifically your knee, your hip, and even the knee and hip on the other side, right? So one of the things about these hydraulic feet is because of this shock absorption, it helps you also be more efficient with your energy. So not having to spend so much energy hitting a hard floor and feeling the impact of that surface that you're walking on. Let's see. Robert says, in my case, I find I need 2 types of feet. Between the 2, I'm able to do most of what I did before. And yeah, guys, in reality, as my buddy Reggie would say, he goes, we are trying to recreate divine design with these prosthetic feet with man-made materials. And we're never going to be able to accomplish that. We just won't, but we're going to do the best we can. But sometimes that does mean that depending on the different activities that you do, you may require 2 different types of feet. So for example, I have one young man, he's a professional ballroom dancer. Right. And we are working with him right now, a lot of fun to work with. And he's using one type of foot for his everyday walking. But we're finding that he, for dancing, needs a foot that has a lot more torsion and rotation into it that is only good for dancing. Right. So, Elisa, I'm sure you had your fair share of patients that needed different types of feet for their activities in life.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's all about the goals of what they have. Like you said, a lot of golfers, they really love torsion units. That's probably a big one. A lot of people that are active outside, they need multi-axial feet. The ramps is a big one, especially for hydraulic feet. For me, a lot of people say that they just feel so unstable walking up hills or down hills if they don't have an ankle that's moving. So that's a real big one, is those slopes. But yeah, everything you're saying is, you don't even need me.
No, no, no. You need
You're
to be here.
spot on with hydraulic feet. They're really well studied feet. So all the benefits you're saying have been really backed up.
Yeah, and then one of the earlier studies, I remember when I first spoke about hydraulic feet a few years ago, and it was with another company actually, and just finding out that it also helps reduce the stress in the socket itself.
Oh yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that part of it?
Yeah, of course. So, if you think about the other feet out there that don't have motion the same way, so another foot, we think of like some of those J feet, you think about like a blade type of foot, they don't actually have a pivot point that goes up and down like an ankle does. So, a hydraulic foot is much more like an anatomical ankle. It's able to go up and down, and that's going to conform to the ground better. And because of that, it translates the forces up into the socket in a softer way. Basically, it takes some of those forces away and doesn't translate them back into your residual limb. So it can greatly increase socket comfort. It will help you accommodate to slopes. It helps with weight bearing. So even weight bearing between your legs, like you said, was a really big thing because that helps with sound side limb health. So they see decreased osteoarthritis in the sound side limb. They see decreased lower back pain with hydraulic feet. A lot of really great things when we are capable of mimicking the anatomical ankle more accurately, which is what hydraulic feet do.
And I feel it's almost like a domino effect. You get good shock absorption, which means your skin does better, which means you're going to also be more energy efficient. So you're going to want to put more weight into the foot. You're going to use that foot more, and therefore starting to save your sound leg.
Yeah. It all starts at the ground, right?
Yeah. And it's just kind of like a domino effect of benefits of using hydraulics. So I had the chance to hang out with one of the most brilliant minds, I think, in physical therapy and amputee care. And we were just discussing about just how much wear and tear there is on the sound limb for an amputee, and how this leads to knee replacements and hip replacements. And it's certainly possible for folks to have joint replacements, but then once that joint is replaced, it becomes so much more vulnerable to injury, more so than a person who does not have an amputation. So guys, anything we can do to preserve your joints in general, as simple as changing a type of foot. So let's see. Tom is asking a very good question. Are there certain feet particular for osseointegration patients? So do you want that question, or you want me to grab it?
We can kind of share it if you want.
Yeah. So, when it comes to osseointegration, I really haven't heard of a foot that they cannot use. I would say it's more about the build height available, and that's something I'm still learning about. So I'm going to let Elisa take that one.
Yeah. There you go, that way. So in terms of build height, I think osseointegration, it depends on if you are below knee or above knee. So that will greatly affect which kind of foot I'm picking for you with osseointegration. But no, there isn't one that is going to be better or not for it. I think it would be good to reduce the forces that are being translated up through your residual limb. So a foot like a hydraulic foot would be really beneficial, something with some flexibility to it. So you're not just kind of pounding into the ground and up through your femur or your tibia, whatever the location of it is.
Excellent. And then Robert says, my blade foot is like walking on a mini ski, great on flat, but not great for going up and down hills. And guys, I do want to comment on blades. I'm a runner. I love to teach my amputees how to run if they're a candidate for running. But the blade is specifically meant for that. And I have had some people that try to use their blade as a normal walking foot. And Robert, that's a really great analogy. It's like trying to wear your ski off the slopes. It's just no bueno. A big part of that is because to activate, quote unquote, activate the energy in that running blade, you really have to put your weight really into it, like that pogo stick. You have to really put that weight in there to get the return. So when you're running, you're putting anywhere between 8 to 10 times your body weight into that foot. So obviously, if you're just walking on it, it's kind of like a thud, thud, thud. It's not going to really give you that energy return. Bill says insurance companies only pay for what is medically necessary. I know. And hopefully with some of this legislation coming out, we're going to hopefully see some changes with this insurance. All right. So let's see. We've got our winner for the first giveaway. I have my person behind the scenes working to help me out here. All right. We've got Francis. So Francis, I think you were listening to me on Instagram. Congratulations, darling. You are the winner for this evening. Please be sure to email me. And there was another question here, guys. I'm going to post 2 things real quick. Somebody had asked, not knowing what kind of foot to choose, right? So guys, if you commented foot on my reel, you'll get a copy of all the different classifications. I wrote 2 blogs on feet because that's how much there is to know, right? There's a lot to know. If you go to my website at cozytalks.com and look under the blog section, I have one that explains the classification and then one that tells you how to go about choosing a foot with the help of your prosthetist. Okay, so guys, when you have a chance, right click, go to my website and check that one out. As for my winner this evening, Francis, I want you to please email me. And guys, for those of you watching this show for the first time, this show is for those of you in the amputee community. So this is my clinicians, my amputees, family members, and caregivers. If you have any questions, you are free to email me here and I answer all questions, usually within 48 hours, okay? But Francis, in the meantime, please email me your t-shirt size and your address so that we can get your prize sent out. And guys, we have one more giveaway for this evening, so stay tuned, right? Let's get back to talking about who is a good candidate for the hydraulic foot, Elisa?
Yeah. So first of all, like we talked about those mobility levels. So College Park does have a K2 hydraulic foot and a K3 hydraulic foot. So you can be either K2 or K3. For a microprocessor foot in America, you do have to be K3 or K4. But in terms of impact, that's probably where I see the biggest difference here, is that low to moderate impact is really where hydraulic feet come into play. We don't consider high impact really great for hydraulic feet. So if you want to be playing basketball, you want to be running, that's not really the type of foot you want to do that on. That's going to be better for those energy return dynamic response feet. So where you're putting in the energy is going to give it back to you. So that's really the only requirements, is being K2 to K3 and being low to moderate impact and showing that you could use one, basically. So like I said, what are your goals? Can you benefit from a hydraulic foot? So someone that is looking to, it comes to us and says, I'm looking to increase my stability on walking on slopes. I want my socket to be more comfortable. I want to improve the health of my sound side limb. If you have a history of trips or falls, you could really benefit from it. We didn't talk about that. That's a big one for hydraulic feet, because hydraulic feet actually help improve toe clearance. So they have been shown to reduce the likelihood of stumbles. So I think more in my case, K2 to K3, low to moderate impact, someone that demonstrates a need for it. And those people that demonstrate need have the goals associated with hydraulic feet.
Very good. We've got okay. So that, I didn't realize that about the toe clearance. That is something. No, and I've really come full circle, because I used to think, I don't know why I thought this in the beginning when I first learned it, I thought it was more for lower activity folks. And I'm just like, when I get someone who's high activity, with the exception of if they're trying to go for sports, but even folks that I'm just like, dynamic response foot would be good for them to trial. But let's throw in a hydraulic foot as well and just see what they think about the feel of it. And I kid you not, like 50-50, I've had just as many people go for the dynamic response as they've gone for the hydraulic, because they just love that connection with the ground. And especially if they are interested in, like, if they have a lot of uneven terrain that they have to negotiate throughout their day. So we have our first viewer from the Philippines. I need to get a map, guys, and start doing the whole push pin thing. So kamusta po kayo, Maki? Thank you for joining us this evening. Marty says, I'm soon to be a knee dysartic. Any issues with feet? I'm a K3. So Marty, I think we've had a lot of talks about knee dysarticulations recently. I would say build height would be the biggest thing right there, but I'm going to let Elisa, because she's going, nope, no problems there.
Not really with feet. I mean, You probably are going to want something slightly more low profile. I think knees will obviously come more into play because you want to keep the axis of your knee closer to the end of your residual limb. And if you do have a knee that is really long, then we have to reduce the foot size. So we only have so much room. And if your knee is going to take up a lot of that room, then we're going to need something more low profile for your foot.
But go ahead and throw that. Let's see the little. I call it the little guy because
Oh.
it's really
Yeah.
low profile. Guys, I don't have any pictures of other manufacturers microprocessor hydraulic feet, but they're usually there. You can spot them from a mile away just because they're big, right? Because they have to house that microprocessor unit. So this is really, I'm really impressed at how compact this particular foot is. Jerry Ann is asking a great question. Is a hydraulic feet good for bilateral amputees? I'm going to say a resounding yes.
Great. Yeah, really great.
Because, yeah, it's not just one, it's two residual limbs that you need to protect in terms of the skin, shock absorption. So I would say, yeah. I think one of the biggest things I think about with regards to feet for my bilaterals is not putting too much torsion, depending on the individual. But what I've kind of noticed in the trend in my bilaterals is too much torsion can be too much of a good thing. Like it's too much mobility. So I don't know if that's something you've observed as well, Lisa.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. Torsion and motion in general for too much, you want to feel stable. I would say microprocessor feet tend to be really great for people with bilateral amputations in general because they have the ability to kind of when you're standing still, they kind of lock up for you. And then that way you can get that balance. You don't have to kind of depend on your body to find that center of gravity. They can kind of hold on for you.
And guys, we've been talking about the hydraulic component, but we really didn't say anything about the microprocessor, which is kind of like the whole new feature of this. So as Lisa mentioned earlier, College Park has had a hydraulic foot for quite some time, the Odyssey. I know I've recommended trials on the Odyssey on several of my patients and viewers as well. They have a K2 version, a K3, and now the microprocessor, and they call it the Odyssey IQ. And this is something I always like to clarify. Whenever people hear the word microprocessor, they think, oh, it's a computer and there's something different going on. And what it is it's still a hydraulic foot at the base. So at the basis of it all, it's a hydraulic foot. They just added computer sensors to it. So the computer is the one kind of doing the sensing and adjusting the hydraulics in that unit for you. And the same goes for a lot of our microprocessor knees, not all of our knees, but the majority of microprocessor knees you see out there at the base, they're actually hydraulic knees. They have hydraulics in them that are being controlled by the computer sensors. I think the only other exception would be there's 1 or 2 feet out on the market that they're motor driven, motor actuated. So they kind of sort of fall into that microprocessor category. It's kind of we're trying to figure out the vocabulary on that one sometimes. So Robert says, I do find I walk more naturally on my hydraulic foot. Bill is asking, how does the hydraulic foot perform in dirt, mud, and water?
Yeah, so if you have a hydraulic foot, then it's a good thing to ask your prosthetist that specifically because it depends on the foot. For ours, Kosi and I were just talking about this. Our K2 foot is only like weatherproof. So if you got caught in the rain, it'd be fine. Our K3 foot is waterproof in fresh water. And then our microprocessor, the IQ, is actually what we call IP67, which is like what we would call like an iPhone type of technology. It can be submerged in water for up to 30 minutes. So all of them can be fine in water to some degree. It just depends on the type of one you have. If it was something like salt water or soap or dirt, then specifically for a waterproof one, we would just say rinse it out. Get in there and you can kind of just spray water in there. There's on our feet, we have drainage ports on the waterproof ones, so it would just drain right out, and then you can kind of keep the longevity of your foot better.
And that was actually one of the questions that was submitted by my texting service. Is somebody was asking, what is the maintenance like on something like a hydraulic foot? So as what she said, again, we live in Florida, so everybody likes to go in salty water and chlorinated water and sandy beaches. So the biggest thing is, treat it the way you would treat any other piece of machinery you have, rinsing it off, drying it off after you're done, taking it to the prosthetist every once in a while to get that foot shell off and get all that nasty sand and all that kind of stuff out of there, and all fun stuff that gets in there. As far as the microprocessor component with the Odyssey IQ, is there anything people need to do for maintenance from that standpoint?
Not really. There are other feet that may have like a service or like a warranty program that you have to go through. Our foot does not require any servicing. So the only thing you really have to do is charge it. So just like you would plug your phone in at nighttime, we would have you charge this, but the microprocessor itself would work just on its own without you having to do anything. There's an app that someone can go into that they can plug into and kind of connect to it and change a few things around, but there's no maintenance for the microprocessor itself.
Okay. How long does the charge last? I haven't asked that question yet. I don't know the
Yeah,
answer.
so it's a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got a solid day there. Let's see. David asks, how's the energy return?
Yeah. Do you want to, I kind of skipped ahead of and went to the microprocessor foot on you. So I didn't know if you wanted, we can talk about the IntelliWeave of the K2 and K3, and that might help me answer this question if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Because, so as Kosi was explaining, we have the Odyssey K2, which has that IntelliWeave, which we talked about in the beginning here, that fiberglass kind of flexible material. And then we have the Odyssey K3, which is a carbon fiber base. So that's going to be more of that energy storing dynamic response type of thing, because the carbon fiber will react better if you put more motion into it. And that's what makes it a K3 foot, is because we expect those people of more high impact, more high activity. So they're putting more into the foot. So our Odyssey IQ, the microprocessor foot, is based on the Odyssey K3 platform. So it also has carbon fiber, which is going to be great for that dynamic response energy storing that you're looking for.
Okay, so I'm going to have to put this under my hybrid category. I had it neatly tucked into my hydraulic foot category, but it sounds like I'm going to have to like move it into the hybrid category. So guys, if you remember what I said earlier, we have distinct categories of feet, but now with all this wonderful technology, these biomedical engineers are figuring out how to take the best of different categories and combining them into one foot. So that's why I just decided to make up my own category, and it's the hybrid foot. And I'm going to have to patent that someday. I don't know, whatever. So Maki says, thank you. I'm a great fan of Sir Reggie. Oh, he's going to like that. Sir Reggie. Thankful to College Park Industries. God bless. Well, thank you very much for joining the show this evening, or this morning. I guess for you, it's morning time over in the Philippines. Pat says, hey, Kosi and Elisa from Saratoga, New York. Currently have an energy return foot with a microprocessor knee. Celebrated my 8-year anniversary. Oh my gosh, Pat, today with a 12-mile hand cycle ride. This guy's a beast. This guy is a beast. I got the chance to work with him, and he's absolutely wonderful. And officiating a high school track meet this afternoon. Grateful for knowledge gained from prosthetists, physical therapists for getting me to this point. Special shout out to Kosi and her guests for sharing a wealth of info for those of us in the limb loss community. And yes, I remember Reggie Showers well, going back to his first appearance on the show. Go Eagles. Well, thank you, Pat, for sharing that with us this evening. I have loved seeing you on the show all these years. Let's see. Johnny B says, I am a very high level, like he goes skiing. So he's super high level, 5'3" amputee, low profile feet would be a compromise on energy return, but would provide more real estate for quick connect to switch out feet. Could you speak on that? Johnny, you're getting like all techie on me, dude.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So College Park specifically kind of honed in on one territory of feet, and that is the idea that we can have really high functioning energy restoring feet that don't have the big J look to them. So they don't have that really high profile look. So there is a few feet, like our terrain foot is probably the biggest one that I would recommend for someone like that really wants that high energy return, that functioning of one of those higher build height feet in a really small compact design. And then there's quick release type of buttons, but that is something totally separate from feet. It would be another component that you could ask your prosthetist about, so that you could kind of press it, release apart, and put it back on.
And I kind of need to learn more about that part too myself. So interestingly, we were kind of getting into the weeds just a little bit with the
Sorry.
Odyssey IQ. No. I love getting into the weeds. We do weeds on the show. So in comparison to other manufacturers, so Odyssey IQ has some like serious street cred with this. So it weighs approximately 2.2 pounds, which is considerably lighter than even the lightest microprocessor hydraulic foot on the market.
Oh yeah, 200 grams lighter than the nearest one.
That's pretty significant, guys. And again, like many of you have been like a little hesitant, I know in the past, to want to try a hydraulic or hydraulic microprocessor foot because of the weight. And again, let me just kind of gently remind you that if you're a candidate for this foot and you have a good prosthetist, which I know all of us have good prosthetists because we choose our prosthetists very carefully, right? Your prosthetist will be able to hopefully make that foot work for you with good suspension. So when it comes to building a foot and building a socket, the fit of your socket and then how it's suspended and held onto your residual limb will help diminish what your brain thinks about the weight of that foot. So Elisa, you're kind of nodding along. So I'm on the right track with this one.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So again, whenever I hear somebody say, I don't want to try it because it's heavy, I'm like, don't X yourself out of a category of a foot or even a knee just because of the weight. Again, your prosthetist should be able to hopefully accommodate the weight with good suspension. And there was something else. Oh, good heavens. The height. We were talking about the height.
Yeah, 3 inches shorter than the kind of the nearest one out there. So yeah, it's a lot. It opens up a whole patient population that can now benefit from hydraulic feet, really.
Yeah, that's huge. And I'm just actually thinking of one young man in particular that he's getting into his 40s and he's always been very active. But as he gets a little bit older, I think he's going to want like something with a little more shock absorption. And he's always had a super long residual limb. So he was really limited. He might actually be able, I might recommend this one for him. Yeah, guys, like 3 inches, that's huge. That's huge, right? Okay. So guys, keep giving me your questions here. I want to hear some of your questions now that we have our expert here. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and post our second giveaway. All right, I'm going to put up a QR code. Where is it? There it is. Because I'm fancy now with my QR codes. And then my girl Kristen is going to post in the comments section the website link for those of you who are not able to do a QR code from the way you're watching. So here's the next giveaway. I want you to tell me, how much does the Odyssey IQ weigh? And I want you to put it in the comments section. Go. And by the way, guys, I can tell when you're scanning. So I'm going to hold you accountable to it. Thank you. I see 1 or 2 people now starting to scan. All right. Thank you very much for scanning. That is a huge difference, Robert. It's a huge difference in terms of like 3 inches. There we go. Thank you. So Kristen went ahead and posted the link to the Odyssey IQ website. So you can go ahead and click there. Guys, let's see. Robert says, what is the best way to clean and maintain the hydraulic foot? So yes, basically like we mentioned earlier, if it gets sandy, if it gets dirty, you rinse it off and you keep it dry. And then obviously depending on which classification of hydraulic foot you have will determine how much you can expose it to the elements there. Yeah. All right, so we're starting to get some things in here. We're starting to see Marty saying 1027 grams, Janie with 1027 grams, Randall with 2.2 pounds. No, Emily, we haven't gotten to your question, but we'll go ahead and answer that question while people are putting in the comments section. Hang on. I got my cheat sheet notes here with your question on it. All right, so Emily's question was, for those who have a longer limb and a lower K level, is Satch foot the only option?
I guess it depends on how low the K level.
I'm going to go with,
I would say no.
2. I think
K2. Oh, definitely not. No, yeah, there's lots of options out there for a K2 patient. Actually, College Park is really honed in on the K2 feet because it's going to be someone that doesn't mean that you're not functioning very high level, really. I mean, you're out there walking around and you need to get things done. So you need a foot that's able to do that with you. So there are feet that have some energy storing type of action to them. The Tempo and the Celsius are probably the big ones for College Park. They have that flexible keel to them. And those are really great K2 feet that will still give you a lot of flexibility and stability, but also give you some response to them too.
And what about for K1 feet? Is there
Yeah.
something?
No, K1, you'd be limited to a Satch foot. Yeah.
And then Emily, what I want you to remember though is, if you are graded correctly, okay, if you are truly a K1 functioning level, it means that you need more stability with the prosthetic foot that you're using. And again, I emphasize this even to the PTs that I was teaching this past weekend. A lot of times our folks are disappointed if they don't get a higher technology foot and they see that as something almost as a failure. The way I see it is you need the foot that's going to give you the most amount of safety, mobility, and independence. Okay. And I also kind of put an analogy and a parallel to using a cane or a walker. So sometimes my folks get disappointed because they're just like, oh, I have to use a walker, I have to use a cane. But the way I see it is, well, in using a walker or a cane, you are now able to go around your entire home, or you're maybe even able to leave your home and move around in the community independently. Okay. So for me, like I said, I call this the little foot that could. I've had some amazing results with Satch feet. Yes, they are a little heavier and they don't move as much, but they are stable. Okay. And specifically in mid stance. So that's right when your foot and your body weight is into the prosthesis, that part of the gait cycle, this is going to provide you with a lot of stability. Emily, as you progress with your therapy, the biggest recommendation I can give you is to talk to your therapist and to see, hey, can we retest me as your mobility gets better? Doing another test, and I'm happy to send you the names of some of those tests that we do to see if you perhaps have bumped up to a K2 level. Okay. But I've seen some cases where somebody was really had their heart set on the higher technology. They put on that foot or that knee and they ended up falling, and it was not a good fit. So Elisa, I'm going to let you give your 2 cents on that.
No, that was perfect. I really couldn't have said it any better myself. What we are hopefully giving you as prosthesis is what will keep you safe and help you achieve your goals. So what you need at that moment and what you hope to achieve in the future. And getting to the future is going to be working with your PT and getting to the point where you are comfortable with what you can do at that time. But we never want to give someone more and less at the same time than they can handle, because we want to keep them safe and keep them progressing.
Yeah. But that being said, I definitely, if someone gets bumped to a K2, I'm like, yeah, the hydraulic foot would definitely be something, especially just for safety and stability. So this is the foot that I wanted to kind of like ask a question about. What scares you all most, or not scares, maybe scares is a big word. What makes your heart beat faster? Going up and down stairs or going up and down ramps? So put stairs or ramps in the comments section. I want to know from you guys. In the meantime, John is asking, is this foot compatible with a C-Leg 4?
Yes. Yep. So we have used our microprocessor foot with it. I don't have a ton of data on the C-Leg specifically, but the Icon, our microprocessor knee, functions very similar to the C-Leg, and we've had quite a few people wear this foot with our knee.
Mm-hmm. I know once upon a time it was very strict where you had to use the same manufacturer foot with the same knee that was manufactured, and it was very like precise and everything. And nowadays I think we just kind of toss that out the window and say, okay, what's the best foot out there? What's the best knee out there? And let's put them together.
Yeah.
So let's see. Hang on. Comments started flying in. Robert says weight loss and core exercise is the best way to bump up K levels. That is certainly something that will contribute to that, Robert. But again, physical therapy, this is where I'm going to be like on my PT soapbox, banging my chest like King Kong, saying you need physical therapy. Because again, this is where we can really determine what are the impairments that you have from your amputation. Is it a loss of range of motion? Is it a loss of strength, balance, coordination, proprioception? And this is something that a physical therapist will assess and diagnose and then develop that plan of care. that can really address a lot of these things. And then also kind of taking into account your medical history and your conditions that you're currently dealing with. Now, do weight loss and core exercise play a role in your K levels? Absolutely. If you're carrying extra weight, that's that much more energy that you're having to expend to go and walk, for sure. For sure, for sure. So let's see. Randall says ramps are harder. Kim says ramps. Debbie says ramps. She says rainbows, but I'm sure she meant ramps. Bill says ramps. Nobody's saying stairs. Interesting, right? It's interesting. Rhonda's saying ramps. John says up and down ramps. Janie says, oh, Janie's saying stairs. Beth says ramps. David says ramps, depending on the steepness. Yes. Scott says ramps. Robert says stairs, but I'm gaining confidence with my hydraulic foot. Bill says going up a ramp. Debbie says, so guys, ramps. And then, yeah, Marianne, I'll give you that. Steps without a rail totally would get my blood pressure up, right? But ramps are so much harder. It's so much more nuanced. With the stairs, even if you're not safe enough to go up the stairs reciprocally, meaning 1 foot over the other, 1 foot down, going down, you have a safe way of getting yourself up and down the stairs. With ramps, it's basically all or nothing. You got to trust that foot or that knee, especially when you're going down. And it's kind of like a snowball rolling effect. So again, when I hear someone who says like they are really not doing well with ramps, or that's something that they have to do, like walking over terrains where they're going up and down, this is where, to me, hydraulic just kind of rings a big old bell right there.
So
that's something for them to try.
I have something kind of exciting to explain about our foot in relation to ramps real quick. So first of all, there's 2 comments here. I have a lot to say. I'm going to try and condense it. We obviously did a lot of beta testing with our Odyssey IQ foot. And one of the feedback we got from one of our testers, which I just thought was really exciting, was she said that it was the first foot she felt comfortable walking down the stairs while holding her laundry basket, that before she didn't feel like she could do that walking downstairs. So that was a big one. The second part is that the Odyssey IQ actually has what we call like a 2-stage ramp processing. So it's able to detect how steep a ramp really is. And if you think about it like shifting gears in a car, it will accommodate resistances or change kind of how easy or how difficult it is to go up and down a ramp according to the angle of the ramp. So more steep versus less steep, it will change the resistances and kind of help you go in a safer way or help you go up easier.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty hoopy scoopy, as my friend Kristen would say. And Bill's like, I'm sold. Let's see. Susan says, been in the hospital since February 2nd with viral myocarditis. Oh, Susan, I am so sorry to hear that, and trying to learn to walk again. I'm glad you're here tonight listening, Susan, and I hope you feel better and get better soon. Let's see. Steven says, I don't have a hydraulic and I go upstairs and we find foot problems. Okay. See, our new Filipino friend says the roads here in my place is like ramps and stairs, very rocky and muddy road. Yeah. Yeah. Tom says ladders. Of course, Tom's going to go with the ladders. The ladders comment. I love it. All right. So guys, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the rocky road type of thing. Can I say one more thing about the kind of feature of the IQ? So we have something that's called spring assisted dorsiflexion. So I talked about how hydraulic feet are great for reducing the likelihood of catching your toe, because as you're walking, it basically stops at that angle and will keep your toe up for you. The IQ has something special called where it's actually a spring. So if you get to neutral, if you take a short step, or if you're on stairs, a spring will actually lift the toe up for you when you come to offload it. So it's actually going to increase the amount of dorsiflexion or toe up in order to help you kind of navigate different small terrains, like a small step, or if you take a short step and your toe is not all the way at neutral, it will actually bring it back up for you.
That is quite helpful. Bill says, I prefer an elevator. Sorry, Bill. Not if you come to my clinic. I make you go up and down ramps and stairs and the whole 9 yards and get up and down off floors. So that is really helpful. So guys, we're throwing everything. Oh, and I have it written here, spring assisted dorsiflexion. I had it in my cheat sheet notes. Oh, right there. Guys, we're throwing everything in the kitchen sink here at you. And of course, I think everybody would do great with an Odyssey IQ, but I will be the first one to tell you, Not one solution is meant for everybody, right? Even the folks at College Park will say that. But what I want you to do with all of this information, if you think a hydraulic foot is something that you're like, yeah, this is sounding like I'm a candidate for this, I want you to compare it to other hydraulic feet from other manufacturers. I want you to compare apples to apples, okay? And then I also want you to start exploring these trial programs. Like I know, obviously, from working with College Park for 7 years, they have a 30-day trial program. And it's not just like a random off-the-shelf foot. It is a foot that is customized to your weight and your build. And you can try it for 30 days. No strings attached. That is pretty awesome, especially when you consider these are really nice looking, high quality, technologically advanced feet, right? I know that other manufacturers also have trial programs, guys. And again, it is an expense. It is an investment in your health. So you want to know you're getting the foot that you like. Okay. So trial 2 different hydraulic feet, just see the difference and then ask about the different variations. So for me, and I'm kind of exploring this a lot more too locally, is, you know, when you trial these different hydraulic feet, ask obviously your prosthetist, but then also if your prosthetist is also getting to know this foot, ask to speak to the sales rep. Okay. Folks who work for these companies, they're going to be the absolute experts in these feet. So they're going to know every little detail the way Elisa does about these feet. And they're going to be able to share this with you. Do your homework, do your due diligence, be an informed consumer. Yes. All right. So that's my lecture for this evening. Guys, there was one other question here, and I've got another really cool QR code because I'm fancy like that. This person was asking about heel adjustable feet. And College Park actually has a really nifty one. It's called the Accent. So for my ladies who like to wear their heels, or also for my ladies and gentlemen that they just like to change the height of their shoes with sandals and sneakers, we have the Accent. And I know Elisa can talk a little bit more about that one.
Yeah, it's a popular adjustable heel height shoe. It's got a push button basically that you push and then you just kind of lift it up and down and then you put it into the position of what's comfortable for you. I think it goes up to 2 inches is what I remember. So a lot of adjustability in it. And as you can see, that one right there is cosmetically covered. We have a special like top to it basically so that you can do a smooth cosmetic cover on it.
So that's pretty nice. So I'm going to leave that code up there for a couple more minutes, guys, for those of you who want to check that one out. And again, not just for the ladies. I know I have several gentlemen that they come into my clinic and they have different size in their sneakers, or sometimes they want to wear work boots versus a dress shoe. And those little millimeters of difference in the heel can make a difference in your alignment. So if that's something for you, like, I want to click this one and save this one for later. I do want to say, guys, I made a mistake when I posted the promo reel that you guys have been clicking on where I said, I'm going to give you the blog for prosthetic feet. And I also said in the video, I'm going to give you College Park's classification, like where all of their prosthetic feet are classified. I was not able to get that to work. And I do apologize for that, guys. So the reason why I'm saying this is next week, I'm going to do a giveaway just for this part. Sorry, I keep like moving it all around the screen. So basically, I sat down with this was before Lisa came on board with College Park. I sat down with John Cook. He's another wonderful prosthetist over at College Park. And we classified all the College Park feet under my classification system. Okay. And we have this, I'm going to make this available to you in next week's. Look on my Facebook and Instagram. It's going to be a part of a giveaway. So it's kind of a delayed giveaway. So I'm letting you guys know this because this is a great cheat sheet to have. If you're going to your prosthetist and you're thinking about getting a new foot, this is a really nice quick reference guide for you. So if you're like, yeah, I think I'm a dynamic response kind of foot person. And oh, look, this is College Park's. They have the Aviator, the Horizon HD, the Soleus, like all of those that fall into those classifications. So you guys can kind of start putting the pieces of the puzzle together there. Yeah. John and I had a great time doing this list because it's like nowadays with all the wonderful technology, you're like, okay, it kind of falls in this category and it also falls in this category and this one overlaps with that one. But I think we did pretty good with that one. Hang on, let me check our chat section. We've done a lot of information this evening. Bill says, after the show, I'm going onto the College Park website. It's good. It's good. They've got a lot of good stuff, and they have an amazing website designer who does a beautiful job of laying it out, and it's really, really easy to kind of follow and find everything you need there. Let's see. Bill says, honestly, I'm not into charging. I've heard the same thing, Bill, and then I had somebody trial some of these feet, and it really changed them. So yeah. Kristen's like, I see nothing.
So the nice thing about the IQ is that if it doesn't get charged, if it's dead, it's not just a dead weight. It actually functions exactly like the Odyssey K3. So a lot of other feet will just kind of be a dead weight. This foot actually still works as just a normal Odyssey K3 foot.
So Bill, I think that's kind of your sign that you might need to go trial it. Just saying right there. There you go. All right, guys. I think I'm like looking to make sure all my notes, make sure I didn't skip anybody's questions. Guys, if I did happen to skip your question, you can either email me and just say, hey, Kosi, you missed my question. What's up with that? And I will also go over to, after we close the show down to see if I missed any questions. And if I don't have the answer, guys, I can put you in direct contact with the College Park team. They are wonderful with their customer service right there. Let's see. Debbie says, thank you. I got my prescription for new adjustable heel height feet, so I will request the accent. Oh, wonderful. Okay, that's awesome. So guys, again, I cannot thank College Park enough for all their years of support, for sending me wonderful people like Elisa onto the show to share their time. And Elisa, thank you. I know you are a busy lady and giving us your time this evening to be with us. So very much appreciated. Thank you. Yes, wonderful. And to my guys on Instagram, you guys were a little quiet this evening, but I hope you got some good information. I know on Facebook and YouTube, you guys were wonderful. As always, guys, I really appreciate you guys showing up for the live shows on Wednesday nights and giving your support to myself and also to the sponsors. So like I said, guys, keep your eyes peeled. For next week, I'll be posting the last and final giveaway. Oh gosh, I didn't announce the winner of the second one. Marty, you're the winner of, you're the winner of the second giveaway. So Marty, please send me your t-shirt size and send me your address so that we can send you the Cool Kids Rebuilt shirt. I'll be giving another one of these out next week, guys. Can I say it enough times? Mm-hmm. All right, guys. So with that being said, thank you for letting us be a part of your lives this evening. And we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat